So I guess something I haven't really done in quite a while is just run a mission and kind of talk about things. I don't think this will really necessarily be a brain video, more just like kind of scatterbrain chatter. I used to do this more often whenever I'd run, like, elite deep dives or deep dives with other people, but it's something I haven't really done in a while, so I wanted to catch up on it and just kind of, I guess this is more of a state of the channel kind of thing, more than anything. Because that's most of the prepared talking points I have that I want to go over. Main thing I wanted to touch on is like the video essay that I just put out and kind of give a post-mortem on some of that stuff, because that's the... I don't think it's the most work I've put into a video per se, but it's definitely one of the most... like, it looks the best, I'd say. And I've gotten feedback, at least, that says it's one of the better looking things I've made. So, that's good to hear. I'd like to do something similar in the future. I don't necessarily know what that looks like yet. Not to directly rip off of SNIS's The X of Deep Rock Galactic thing, but kind of maybe like fundamental game concepts is what I'd be going for, is like speed, brutality, how it feels to play games fast, and just kind of like the tactile feedback that all games, but obviously especially Deep Rock, give you for playing quickly and kind of polishing skills in a short amount of time. Because even watching that video back over and over again, I continue to second guess myself on whether or not I was clear enough with some of the stuff I was talking about. Because the draft one of that script was just so absolutely scatterbrained. It's just like beautiful words written about Deep Rock with no like cohesion whatsoever. I think I got it to a pretty like understandable level, but to a degree I still worry that it's just like a garbled mess. But judging by the reception from the people that I gave early access to it, it's pretty good. Just to be clear, I'm recording this before that video actually came out. I'm doing this on reset day, so I don't actually know anything from the greater public when it comes to that video. But it's definitely one of the things I've put the most refining into. I've shown it to more people, I've asked for more feedback, and now that I have YouTube members, I'm able to ask them about stuff as well. Also, this isn't entirely a blind run, since I actually played this once already on my buddy's account. They're not able to be at their PC at the moment, so I've been playing for them. They don't miss it. They're still in the overclock grind, so trying to help them out. Yeah, I forget you can vaporize the exploders with that. They took it away from Sludge, gave it to the wave cooker. Disgusting. There we go. Didn't need the divot. So I have a decent understanding of the maps for this dive. Missed the pipe, dummy. I guess since I'm playing with a cooker, this is a decent time to talk about new weapon stuff. Obviously, I've been slacking quite a bit on actually putting out video content for the new weapons. I really do enjoy all of them, though. Really, none of the things I was worried about actually bore any rotten fruit. So, yeah, pretty much everything with the new weapons is great. I really like the cooker. I think, even though I'm not going to use it a whole lot, due to the way that I like to play, I think it's a really good addition, because it gives you a combo type weapon for flamethrower and sludge pump, which is something both of those weapons were sorely lacking. Like, the closest thing you had to a combo with really any weapon with sludge pump and crisper was volatile bullets on Sabata, which is, you know, not enough reason to run Sabata, and you had fire EPC burning goo puddles, which was, you know, kind of felt like a waste in my opinion. So giving like a dedicated combo weapon for really all of Driller's primaries, but especially really good for flame and cooker, or excuse me, for flame and sludge pump is great to see. Because that's the way I've always really enjoyed playing Driller, is the weapon swappy combo of EPC and cryo cannon. You have thin containment field to do blasts, you switch off to EPC, throw axes, use drills. It's just such an involved playstyle for Driller, and to see like something even remotely close to that come to the other weapons other than cryo cannons is so nice. I've timed this out really poorly. I'm not going to be able to fight this dread during the swarm. Could probably go for it. I would need more ammo though. Previously I got through this without dropping a resupply, so I was hoping to replicate that, but I've also got more nitra, so I think I'll be okay. Been running Sludge Pump quite a bit more since Season 2 started, just because I'm still not a huge fan of Flamethrower, and this is a very nice weapon to deal with robots. The flexibility between charge shots and normal shots and the buffs to this weapon in Season 2 all make it very appealing. So we can pop this trawler out. There we go. Worst enemy in the game. Randomly invincible whenever it wants to be. Running a very nice necrosis, blistering necrosis and contagion transmitter synergy with the sludge pump on the cooker, so I'm spreading neurotoxin, getting the slow in tier 3. All really good stuff for sludge pump. Just stacking the dots on and on and on. I wasted an axe there, whoops. As soon as this sandstorm ends, I'm gonna pop the dread. I did manage to forget what the dread is. I believe it's twins? We'll see. Yes, okay. These guys are pretty susceptible to this setup. It's quite ammo hungry, but in solo where you can afford to be ammo hungry, it's very, very effective. I haven't actually crunched the numbers or done like lobotomized AI testing yet, but I believe this might even out DPS Sludge Blast right now. And if it doesn't out DPS, it's certainly more ammo efficient. Okay, well we got the heal, so now we actually have to care about the health. Get our damage in on Arbalest while we can. Oh, dash right into it. Shouldn't be too much. Nope. Can't quite reach him there. I'm worried about getting this close to him while he's in second phase. We should easily be able to kill Arbalest now. Damn, almost got him. That'll do. Alright, oh, okay, without pause. We should be able to get started now. So that's Wave Cooker. I think Coil Gun is probably just barely my least favorite of the new weapons. Just barely. Just because that's really not what I want out of a gunner secondary. Just because I already have a lot of AoE with my primary. I primarily run Big Bertha with autocannon when I play gunner. So getting AoE out of my secondary has never been like a huge desire of mine. I'm sure a lot of people that run things like Leadstorm, or Jet Fuel Homebrew, Hurricane, things like that, or, well, I think pretty much any Hurricane except for Mind Layer, will be very happy to have the AoEs, so I'm really happy that Coil Gun's the way it is, just once again, not really my style per se. Which is, in a way, the same reason I don't plan on running Cooker too much. I just like Cooker a lot more because of what it brings to the table. Crossbow is a ton of fun. It really put all my worries to rest. I thought it was going to be very poorly balanced for Haz 5. And sure, it's certainly the worst DPS out of the new weapons. I mean, you can still do some crazy things with it. Having Trifork Volley is basically jumbo shells in your pocket, and you also have the specialist bolts like tasers, pheromones, or chemical explosives. And I have to say that I have a soft spot in my heart for buggy weapons in this game, so crossbow is obviously up there with the greats in that regard. As far as Shard Diffractor goes, I think it's debatably the strongest NG secondary right now. It's incredibly strong. It's very, very strong. It's got the burst damage potential of hyperpropellant and also, like, flexibility, I guess is the best word to describe it, where you can mag dump a ridiculous amount of ammo at once for really high damage, but you just don't have to. Like, using things like Overdrive Booster, you can dump a ridiculous amount of damage, but you don't have to. So it's like hyperpropellant and breach cutter in one, in a way, which is just kind of crazy. And then the fact that Volatile Impact Reactor is basically just sticky flames on Engineer, which, let's be honest, he didn't need any more AoE, like he's already AoE king, but it lets you get away with taking such greedy choices on your primary. Like, if anyone thought Locke had ammo issues, all you have to do is run Magma secondary on Engineer now, and you can get away with literally anything. I've been a strong advocate that Locke doesn't have ammo issues, people just play the gun wrong, but now you have an absolute easy answer to make that thing work with absolutely any build you want to run on it. The stage that everyone's afraid of. Went through this once before in Duo, wasn't too awful. We'll see how it goes though. This is a much less reliable build, I think, for holding back lethal enemies, but if I'm smart about it, I should be able to keep them all back with the sludge slowdown. Let's try to get into the dirt to protect ourselves a little bit. Sacrifice the choke point for the satchel, I think will be worth. Shouldn't be too awful many bugs here. Oh, wasn't in overdrive, that's probably why. The very nice thing about this sludge build is you don't need any sort of directional input. You can just shoot any of the dreads or any of the armored enemies from any side and get full damage. That's a scary sound. Much more carefully on lethal. Normally I would just crash dive right into the middle of this cave, but I'll try to be a little smarter here. Fortunately, we do have to deal with 3 mules salvage. Which is something I wasn't certain of until recently, as I was under the impression that all of the deep dive primaries were always the shorter variant, meaning like there's only 1 stop escort, only 2 dreads. But no, as it turns out, you can have 3 mule salvage as a primary, which is a bit of an outlier. Also no 400 Morkite, which is an absolute blessing. These things take long enough. I don't really have a way to affect him. We're gonna have a lot of enemies on us here in a second. I still have full ammo, so I'm not too concerned, but gotta be careful not to stack these waves up too hard or we might get overrun. There's something I can deal with. Put Neuro on him. And here's our wave. Basically pulled 5 legs and touched 2 mules in a very short amount of time, so this is going to be a pretty long fight. If anyone wasn't aware, the way that salvage missions work is whenever you approach the mules, it sets off a wave of enemies, and whenever you pull the legs that are surrounding them out of the ground, it spawns enemies. Only particular legs, not all of them, will spawn enemies. Only 1 out of the 4 that are around each mule, so in theory, you can get lucky and not actually pull the swarm from a mule. But it's very unlikely. Which is why it's always a good idea to leave legs unpulled unless you really need them. Whoops. Rest in peace. So rather than pulling this leg up here, I'm just going to wait for Bosco to bring me the one from below. If this wasn't lethal enemies, I would probably just pull the one up here and deal with the risk, but it's a pretty threatening mission, so. Not sure where these enemies are. Just lurking on me. and pull the egg now. There's all the bugs and our swarm egg. Nope, not swarm egg. That's something I forgot to mention in the egg hunt video that I did a while back, is that in deep dives you get, it's a very similar rule to normal egg hunts, where 4 eggs is 1 swarm, 6 eggs is 2 swarms, 8 is 3. It's similar in the fact that on 2 eggs it's 1 swarm as well. So there is a lower limit on how many swarms you can have. Speaking of egg hunt video, that's a series I need to finish, is the mission guides. I'm really getting into the complex ones now, so I'm kind of hesitant because I'm worried I'm going to forget something. I want to put more time into them than I have had to the previous ones. Salvage especially has a lot of little quirks with it, and that would be the next mission that I do. That, and I'm not sure if many people are actually interested in seeing those. Because as little as I care about, you know, the numbers of everything, I also want to make content that people want to watch. Like, it's not about the views, it's about the viewers, if that makes sense. That'll bring us our last egg, and we can go wait at the uplink. Once again, if this wasn't lethal, I'd probably just send the uplink while we're fighting the swarm, but probably not gonna go for that. What are you doing up there? Come down here. Very nice amount of bugs coming. Bosco drop that. We can at least push the button and let the mule get in while we're doing this. So if anyone wasn't around right before the start of Season 2, I mentioned that I was moving. Almost done with that process. I'm in a temporary spot for a while I'm waiting on new work to be available, as I've decided to go quote-unquote unemployed for about a month, just to, you know, take a break before I go back to working full-time. Moving pretty far to take new work, obviously not going to go into detail, but it's a lot of moving pieces in life right now. I should be settled in my new place by the middle of June at the latest, so looking forward to that chapter being over. So it's been a even bigger headache than I imagined, and I was prepared for it to suck, so it's been good though. It's moving up in the world. I guess I can go over the stuff that I've gone into detail in the past, as I work in the aviation industry pretty much full-time in maintenance management. So it's a real handful, so I always appreciate the times I get to take vacation, rest up. So the last month or so has been very nice. But obviously the headache of moving has kept it from being completely relaxing. You almost stole a revive from me right there. That was close. Should have thrown axes. Whoops. It's fine. We got this whole resupply to ourselves. Oh, we actually have almost 400 nitra. Never mind. We got all the resupplies to ourselves. Oh, don't spit from there. Okay. It's a bad time to drop a reload. Cancel. Also a very bad time for a sandstorm. This is gonna get nasty, more than likely. Okay. We're sitting right here. I can eat a few menace shots. I'm more worried about the melee enemies. I would prefer to kill the menace, though. If he could show up sometime. Stepped out just a moment too early. Lost a good amount of health right there. Get that back for free. Okay. This menace needs to not be alive anymore. Gonna throw this down just in case we need healing. Worth the expense, I think. This is definitely the hardest stage of this entire dive, so... Drop that resupply twice, Jesus. Okay, I would much rather get the bulk out of the way now. That's good to see. I would like to get the bulk away from the fuel cells, though. I don't want to be fighting in a crater. Got no way to impart freeze on this guy, so I'll probably just hit him with all the axes. It'll help. Dropped another reload cancel. Nice. Shame that menace didn't want to die with him. Okay. Back to work. There we go. Blisters popped. That took him out. If anyone wasn't aware, the blistering necrosis blisters actually absorb a set amount of damage and then pop, dealing just splash damage to enemies, so they're pretty good. They do have a nasty quirk, though, of if they get hit by, like, very high single target damage, they actually do break and not carry through the overkill damage, so if I was to say, stick a blister on an enemy that hyper-propellant would normally kill in one shot, and then hyper-hit the blister, it would instead break the blister and not carry through the rest of the damage that would have killed the enemy. So, in a way, when it comes to very high damage single target things on your team, you don't want them to be hitting blisters, so... When it comes to low damage single shot weapons, it's pretty good, like something like GK2 or M1000. Those weapons should definitely target blisters, but things that are like absurdly high damage, like jumbo shells or hyper-propellant, you don't want to be hitting blisters. Which is why I only really run blistering necrosis in solo, is it just, there's no potential for that to happen. Aside from impact axes, which, I mean, I got 8 of them, I'm throwing them all at one enemy anyways. Overall, really nice overclock for the wave cooker that a lot of people are sleeping on. Menace wasn't a great example, because I much would have rather had cryo cannon, just froze him and burned him down with EPC, but when it comes to more wide-purpose targets that aren't as elusive to get to that you don't want to freeze, it's pretty nice. Spitballers come to mind in particular, is sticking a row of blisters on them and then popping them all. Alright. The tough part here is going to be actually getting this ammo that we dropped, now that we're in the infinite swarm. Try to go over here for a minute. If I can grab 2 bricks off of that resupply and then just run around, that would be great. Probably only gonna get 1 right here. Let's see. Oh no, I think I can get... Yeah, I've dashed to get away. Be okay. Alright. We'll run as long as we can without attacking anything. And we out. Alright, well that's the hard stage done. Now we have deja vu of stage 1, I believe. Yeah, it's just exploder infestation instead of rival presence. I think it's a normal dread? I can't recall. So as far as more Season 2 stuff goes, I'll probably get to work on Season 2 weapon videos and probably some specific stuff on fighting robots pretty soon. Before that, though, I'm going to go through a quick series, since I recently just went over 8,000 missions, and that's 2,000 missions on each class for me. So I'd like to do kind of a run-through with all classes, with all weapons, do some missions like that. Knock out a quick little series that way, because those are always easy to get done. It's just running a few missions, cutting out the slow bits, and then uploading it. Sometimes the gameplay can just speak for itself. As far as YouTube plans after that, though, I want to get caught up with Season 2's stuff. But as far as that goes, really, there's only a few videos I feel really inclined to make. After that, we'll see. I really need to finish up some of my older stuff that I haven't done to their conclusion, like Hazard 5 Basics and the mission guides I mentioned earlier. There we go. Those have been burning a hole in my mind for a while. Just been inspired and distracted by other things, so. Because as much as I need to finish those series and have like that complete body of information available to people, like, if I'm just not feeling making something in particular, I've learned the hard way that that's just not. I gotta drop it and move on, regardless of how bad it looks. Like, I have that story from early on when I was doing YouTube, and the first thing I did with community posts was I was like, oh, let's put it to a poll as to what people want to see next. And the only class guide I hadn't made a video, or the only class I hadn't made a guide video for was Gunner at that point. So obviously that was one of the things on the table, was Gunner guide, and then some other things. And I think that was before I started the Drop podcast, so I had that as an option. And it was like overwhelmingly, like close to 60%, like make the Gunner video, make Gunner guide, make Gunner guide. And it was at that exact moment that I realized I don't want to make a Gunner guide. And then that kind of kept me in a creation slump for close to a month. So if I learned anything from that, it's really cool to get feedback and really cool to know what people want to see. But at the same time, if I can't make it and I can't bring myself to make it, it's just going to ruin it for everybody. So that's one of the best lessons I've learned doing content creation, is just gotta make stuff I want to make, which is why I kind of, you know, like Season 2 just came out. I should make weapon videos, but I'm just gripped with this video essay thing. I just really wanted to make it. I had a lot of good ideas for it. I knew I could see the words in my head for it. But that's kind of how I got to that, rather than doing what everyone would expect, I guess. So you can't actually kill them once they start cooking. That's interesting. Not really trying to do damage, just planting blisters right now. Letting Bosco build pipes. There's no point in these dreads dying until pipes are built anyways, so the closer we can time this out, the better. It's always been weird to me that you couldn't start pumping without the secondary objective done. Oh, hi. Guy's got a juicy pile of blisters on him. I just need to pop. If I could get him close and hit him with an axe, that would do it pretty easily. Very cowardly right now. You can see all the blisters just popped on Arbalest, did a good amount of damage. There we go. It's definitely not like crazy DPS by any means, but it's very nice for chunk shotting when you normally wouldn't be able to. Alright, now we can go to work. Don't want to go to work with that, though. Ouch. No lacerator. No thank you. Get Neuro on. Got him low enough that we can kill one without the other healing now. Just gonna wait for Bosco to lower him. Ouch! We gotta keep moving. Kept my eye off the ball for a little too long there. Lacerator coming after me. Woo! That was nearly death. Okay. Just gonna get out of there. Alright, we are good. So I kind of touched on series that I want to go back to and finish up. I think largely as far as that goes, I'm doing the 8,000 mission series, season 2 content, finishing up some old series. I'd like to go circle back to the Drop podcast at some point and make it a little more focused on specific topics, because it really accomplished what I wanted it to be in the drawing board, which was, you know, just some guys hanging out, playing a high difficulty, just shooting it. But I'd like to both broaden the scope a little bit to maybe be a 4-man at some point, if I could actually get 4 people tied down and available to do it. And also I'd like to do some non-gameplay versions of the Drop podcast with probably most of the same guests, as those are the people that I can talk to for hours and hours. Milligan and Servant in particular, I can always, you know, we always just call for a while and talk about current things. So it'd be nice to be able to put the game down for a while and talk to those guys and get a more focused take, I think. And also that would open the door to us getting people in that maybe aren't interested in playing the same content as we are. Just something to think about. That and, you know, solo commentary stuff, which isn't something I've done in a long time. I'd like to bring back a little bit, as it's pretty easy for me. Like, generally, commentary comes easily if I have something to talk about. I am spoiled by Twitch streaming, though, and that I usually have chat to keep me company and feed me prompts to keep things, you know, conversation flowing along. But then when I'm all locked up in a room by myself and I just write a couple things down on a little notepad, I'm like, the next thing I'd like to talk about is airplane food. Doesn't go so well. It's okay, because I can edit out the awkward pauses. Invincible trawler. Love it. Whenever it pleases. Just caught an impact axe. Didn't take any damage. Where is all this gold coming from? Is this just from loot bugs? A lot of good tech has come out of Season 2 as well, though. Like spam depositing and mid-air grabs. God, it's all very good stuff. Like, we lost Host Throw and we lost Old Spam Deposit, but the new one is just as good and arguably faster. And as workable as client, so that's great to see. I always hate host-only tech. I'm probably not going to be able to steal this right now. Maybe I can. Well, we are about ready to punch off here, so let's try to get that done. Don't have dash. I'm going to have to figure out my way out of that situation. Okay. And we should be just about good until the pod gets here. Not out of my reach this time, huh? If there's anything I like about the cooker, it's the infinite range and just picking off low health enemies like that. Just absolutely no discretion whatsoever when it comes to long-range enemies. Which is not something Driller's been great at in the past. I mean, really the only hit scan he had was Sabata. So, you know, he didn't have hit scan. Alright, and that'll just about do it. So if there's anything in the future you'd like to hear about or see me talk about on this, or any improvements you can make to this format, I mean, I'd be happy to take the feedback. There's nothing really in particular I want this to be. I don't even know what I'm going to call it yet. Just kind of shooting it and running the Elite Deep Dive. Probably won't do this every week, as I don't want it to become stale, and I think just, you know, shelling out EDDs every week is kind of tired. But yeah, it's been fun. Hopefully I'll have more things to talk about in the future. But if you'd like to catch me live, I stream over on Twitch. If you want to talk to me or any of my community members, you can find us in the Discord. And as always, thank you for watching, and have a nice day.